Scott Greenberg. You're like the other Scott, but I don't know, maybe new and improved. I'm liking this background. What is going on back there?
Yes, so this is a very cool place. I hate to call it my office. It's like a studio. It's
Uh
named The Perch. So
huh.
that's what I've named it. It's got sweeping views of the ocean right now and mountains, so it's very cool. It's nestled on a hillside. So unfortunately, in the next one or more years, it will be torn down and really modern stuff will be built. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm here right now, so I love it. It's my special
But where?
place.
I'm confused though. You're looking at the ocean and mountains.
Well,
Can you
I'm
turn?
in the
Can you turn?
mountains.
Well,
Can I? Can
so
I?
there's mountains behind you and ocean in front of you. Can you show it to me?
I can show you the ocean.
Yeah, let's see it.
Sure. Bam. Can you see?
Wow, that's awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So this
You
is a
weren't
very.
joking around.
I
That is
wasn't.
awesome. I love it.
I wasn't joking around. So yeah, it's a very cool. People love the background. It looks like fake, but it's not. So a friend of mine named Andy helped set it up.
Uh huh.
So Andy from New York. So yeah, he added a bunch of cool things, but it's all real. So people often think it's like a backdrop, but I was like, nope, it's very real.
I love it. I love it because I know that you and I we met a few months ago. I think it was more closer to a year ago, isn't it?
It's our 1 year anniversary, baby.
Oh,
I
wow. No.
know. I know.
Yeah. I remember the first time I talked to you, I was visiting my mom, and guess who I'm going to visit tomorrow?
Your
My
mom.
mom.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So that's why I know it's been about. No, it's been about a year. So I'm going to go see her. But I remember talking to you, and you were so easy to talk to. Like there's a lot of agents you talk to and they don't want to give you the time of day, whereas you wanted to get to know me, you wanted to understand what was going on, you built a relationship, you started building it right out of the gate, and I went like, oh gosh. So I knew who I was working with within a few minutes, and when I got off I immediately called my clients and I said, this I think that he's going to be great to work with because I think that this is going to be a complicated process. He's an expert at what he does. He knows the probates inside and out, which is true. Probate junkie, is that right?
That is, yes. So I am a probate junkie. I have a company called Probate Junkies, and I have a new company and brand that we're starting. It's called Estate Nation. So yes, it's I'm
Oh,
very
cool.
excited and very blessed with a lot of opportunities and a
And
lot
you
of.
have an awesome partner who's an attorney, which my God, that makes you guys deadly, which I
I
love.
do. Yes, it's really cool. We've worked together for over 10 years. We've been friends for over 30 years, which would kind of give away my age-ish since I try to keep my boyish looks. But yes, we've been
It's perfect.
lifelong friends and worked together for a very long time. So yeah, it's great. It's really cool, and we do make a really good kind of dynamic duo.
Well, I can tell you in working with you that because that I met you on a deal, and it was very complex. I loved your communication. And when things got difficult, Scott Greenberg stayed calm. When things got really complicated and something where you needed to really get the advice of your partner, I just felt like we were always working to accomplish the same thing. And we knew also, though, that you had to represent your seller fully, which you did. I had to represent my buyer fully, but we were saying, but if this deal can be a win-win and be the best deal for your seller, and we can still get it, it was going to be great. So I love that we could work together that way. And your partnership, I think, is absolutely fantastic, especially in the probate space.
It's great, and I feel like every transaction we're in, not just you and I, but anybody, there's a partnership that's developed. I mean, your partner's in the deal, your partner's in the transaction,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to work together to get these things done, to get it done to conclusion, finality, not just a close of escrow, but a transference of a property, both legally and the occupancy, which is always a challenge to other parties. And there's
Mm-hmm.
just so many people involved. So that's really the way I look at every transaction. Is a partnership.
What I thought was interesting with you, so I agree with that, and you're sounding a lot more very, what's the word I'm looking for? You're very, very, very focused right now, and you're saying everything just right. I want you to let your fucking hair down a little bit for just a second,
I
okay? I
can let
want the
my
real
hair
stuff.
down. Let's get wild.
Let your hair down, yeah.
Let's get
The
wild.
thing that got me with you too, to be honest, was when we went to the courthouse, and you walked through like you were a celebrity. It's like everyone knew who you were. I'm going like, who
You should
is
have
this
seen me in
guy?
my heyday, man. In my heyday,
Oh yeah.
I was the best. But court now is a very subdued environment. Maybe that's why I'm so subdued. But yes, in my heyday, when I was a youngin', yeah, man, 10 years ago, I was like, hey, because it was
Right.
wild. But now it's like,
Yeah, well,
it's the
you
same.
knew everybody, and that
I
was
do.
great because, and you even knew the judge. You just, it was nice that, and you could tell that when anyone would see you in the hallway, it was everyone liked you, respected you, and I went like, wow, I had no idea this guy was the shit, but the probate junkie is the shit.
I've been around. I mean, I think the thing is, it's consistency. There's a lot of fly by night people, both in real
Yeah,
estate in general and in probate. So, there's a lot of people that come into things that take a weekend seminar or hear about something or read a book and think
right,
they can jump in. So, there's a lot of people that come and go. What you witnessed is persistence, perseverance, and sticking with it. So finding something, I'm not gonna lie, I spent many years hating probate. It saddened me. No, it's true. I mean, it saddened me. It disgusted me. It was like these people, everybody hates each other. Everybody's fighting all this. I'm not saying I'm okay with that now, but I've accepted the realities of the situation that I can't control other people's craziness and madness. And yeah, I just try to do the very best job staying in my lane and doing my role as I can.
right.
I'm not saying I don't often get pulled into people's personal problems as I did on the deal you and I worked on, as the deal I was on this morning at a
Oh no.
property. Yeah, it's just like everyone. But that being said, I just try to stay very focused on,
What I
making
saw with
something.
you, Scott, and I'm not just saying this, I saw a guy who really knows his stuff, a real expert at what he does, but really cared. So no matter what, there was a situation that we were in, and we won't mention names, but it was delicate. And there was someone who was feeling like he was not being treated fairly, and there's family dynamics. There's so much to it. And you could, in this person, you could have just treated like shit and not given the time of day, but instead you went way out of your way. There was a time, and I don't even think I told you this, where we went to the estate, and I'm talking to you, and then I leave, and I hear what's transpiring between you and the client, and the way that you handle it was just so kind. It was like you went out of your way, and I'm telling you, most people would have blown. You went out of your way to keep things calm, and I think that's one of the reasons the deal worked out is because of the way that you cared so much, and so I really appreciate that in you. It's nice that you're so well-rounded.
I appreciate hearing that. I suffered a lot of abuse on that one. I mean, that one especially,
It's
that whole
tough.
situation. It was tough, but yeah, just try to take it with a grain of salt and know that, hey, these people are going through stuff. They're emotional, they're reactive. It's not really about me. It's easy to take stuff personally when they're literally saying stuff about you and horrible things. I mean, I'm going to report you to the DRE. It's all coming down where you're
Mhm.
all in cahoots. It's like nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, we worked
Nope.
so hard, you and I, to keep things above board, ethical, like you said, advocate for our respective clients, squeeze every
Yeah.
dollar out that we could. So to hear things about me didn't feel good, but I, just picked myself up and said, hey, these guys are going through their own stuff, and it's not a reflection of
Hmm.
me, it's them.
Right.
And it's not easy, but I try my hardest to take the highest road, not meet them where they're at, because it'd be easy to say
Yeah.
really horrible things. I could have said atrocious things, but I didn't want to, and I didn't even feel that way, and I'm so grateful to have met you. I mean, that was really, and your clients. That was my favorite part of the deal, and doing what I could, the best I could for my clients and the heirs and
Mhm.
beneficiaries, the beneficiaries. So
Yeah. Well, I remember in the deal once there was some stuff that came up, and one of your clients was upset, and instead of you just make blowing it up, you started asking questions. You tried to figure it out. And at the end of it, we went like, wait, is this person saying this? Yeah, he's just saying, he thinks he's supposed to be out by Friday, but he wants to be out by end of day Monday. And I was like, that's what he's saying?
right,
Because I can make that happen. No problem.
right,
I can make that happen in a heartbeat. I could, but we figured it out. So the attorneys didn't have to come in and
yeah.
do all sorts of craziness, which would have been awful for everybody. Instead, you talked to him. By the end of it, we figured it all out. And it was like, God, thank goodness we talked because it would have been. I mean, seriously, it would have been a nightmare if it wasn't your kind of temperament on the other side.
Just treating people with kindness and respect
Mm-hmm.
goes a long way, and it's really everybody. If everybody from tenants, occupants, whether they're legal or illegal, it's a roof over their head. Everybody should and deserves a roof over their head, whether or not they're entitled to it or pay for it or deserve to be there or whatever. I'm not, to judge or jury in that. So,
Right.
and human beings. So to treat each other with that way, especially the way we want to be treated, as hokey as it sounds,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes goes a long way in just having open communication.
Absolutely, yeah. So the golden rule. So anyway, yeah, you were great, which is why when I wanted to stay in touch with you, I wanted to break bread with you. I don't do that with that many agents, and not that there is anything wrong with it, but you were definitely a standout. So I'll say
Thank
that.
you. I feel the same about you. That's
Oh,
why we're
thank
good.
you. Hey, man, come here.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
virtual
Yeah.
hug.
I know. So you know the name of the show. This is Real Estate Hell with Scott Nell. So we're going to talk about. Why don't you tell us? Start off with one of the really fun, juicy. Because in
God.
probate, this should be. You should have some
There,
juicy stuff. Why don't you share that?
yeah, there I have just compiled a list of basically 175 cases, sales
Hmm.
that I've completed, worked on very intimately over the last 10 years. So many of them, most of them haven't been my name as an agent. I think the ones that we'll talk about all, I've been the agent. Maybe one I was totally behind the scenes, but yeah, most of them I was an agent of record. But yeah, most of those have so much juiciness. I tried to pick, about
Hmm.
five that I thought were relevant to real estate in general, not probate specific. Had some probate fun stuff, but yeah, I got a small little list together that I thought would make some good morals and all that.
Okay.
So
Well, listen. I'll tell you whether they're interesting or not. Okay. I'm going to be the judge of that. So let's start. What's number one for you? Tell us give us one of the biggies.
oh God, one of my favorites. So I've since you didn't want to have names of anything, I came up with. I like to have creative names.
Yeah, we
So
don't want to get anyone in trouble.
this one I call the case of the deadbeat dad.
You're making my job so easy. I usually write the titles. Now I'm not going to write anything. I love it.
The case of the deadbeat dad. So this one was fun because I got brought in over a year before I ever officially got involved by a woman. She was owed at the time $150,000 in back child support. So her child's father had been avoiding paying her child support for since 1999. Since I was really a teenager.
A real
Um,
winner.
a real, yeah. So he'd been avoiding. Meanwhile, his mother passes away in the mid 2000s, 2010, with the whatever, 17, 18, something like that. He files a probate and says, "Hey, I'm the only son, and I want the house." She goes, "Wait a second. You owe me money." He goes, "No, don't worry about it. This is my mom's house. You're not entitled to money from her.
Hmm.
I owe you money, so you're just gonna have to wait." So she sits
Hmm.
on the sidelines and waits, and she's calling me for years, every 3 months. What's going on with this? What's going on with that? But we're just, kind of lying in wait. I can be very patient. Just let's see what happens. Let it take its turn. So he
Hmm.
keeps, screwing around. Finally, I find her an attorney, and we get the county of LA. So we work in concert with the county of LA to file a motion to compel basically payment, where he's still trying to avoid it,
Hmm.
saying, no, it's not my mother's debt, it's my debt. So I get the house. I want the house. You can wait. The judge says, no, she doesn't have to wait. She's been waiting.
Hmm.
Child support, it's sort of a superior lien. You owe her the money.
Right.
So
Sure.
he's like, all right, fine, I'll pay her. So the county wins the motion. And he keeps screwing around. So, and I brought an attorney that I knew had a good relationship with the county, so I knew we could kind of double team them. Meanwhile, the guy keeps screwing around. We remove him as the administrator, and she becomes the administrator of her deadbeat child's father's mother's estate. So she becomes the administrator.
Say that three times real fast.
She becomes the administrator. He's removed. He's basically just laying in the house, won't do anything, has other kids, other women. There's just a hot mess, this guy.
Hmm.
Will not leave the house, won't go anywhere. So, meanwhile, it was days away from foreclosure when we got involved. So,
Hmm.
had we not removed him and then filed a restraining order against the bank to stop the sale, this house was days away from just a total loss. She would have been out of luck. He would have been just hanging out in the house, no better or worse condition. Yeah, so we basically sell it with him in there. Uh, he ends up getting like $20,000 cash for keys and nothing
Mm-hmm.
else. The attorney gets a lot of money in attorney's fees. She gets
Mm-hmm.
her now it balloons to 170,000 plus administrator fees. So she gets
Oh
administrator
my.
fees. She
Mm-hmm.
signs the grant deed on his mother's house, sells the house, she gets paid. We won't talk about the fact that then I co-listed that one. So so the guy that referred it to me, we co-listed it. He ended up being a bit of a lunatic and not only threatened me the night before the court confirmation, but kind of turned the client against me, which was really
Mm-hmm.
sad because I did a lot and moved mountains. So
Right.
unfortunately, she never even thanked me when the sale closed. I really never heard from her again.
Mm-hmm.
Until 6 or 9 months later, she had some other random legal question. So not once did she thank me for this, which again, I get a great story out of it. I realized that people are crazy, and I can't fix crazy. So
Right.
yeah, but it was a good story. It's one of my favorites.
Right. I've got to imagine because if I do probates every now and then. I'm not an expert at it like you. I'm just standard residential real estate. And so, but I've got to imagine in probate though, it's so thankless. And then when you go out of your way, I think we're very similar from our conversations. And when you go out of your way for someone and you really to help them out, and you're really doing your best, and you're really, going that extra mile, and there's no appreciation. I don't know why that gets to me. I literally let it get to me, and I'm going like, God, why am I being such a, weenie about this whole thing? I didn't know. But I think maybe because we care so much. I don't know.
It is. I really cared, and I was on the file and helped her. Would spend countless nights talking to her. She'd call me at 9 o'clock. I'd give her updates when I was not on the case. I had no skin in the game, just helping her out. So it did hurt me, because the co-listing agent was really not a good person. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
find this out till the end. Really, I think when I had first met him, because I knew him for years, I was not an agent at the time, so it was just kind of this guy that could help out and whatever. And he would introduce me nicely, and I worked with him on several cases. This one, but yeah, once he could, I think you working with you, other Scott, his name, by the way, he had a Scott in his name as well, too. We'll mention names, but it wasn't his first name. Let's just say that. Um, yeah, once he saw sort of what I brought and what I could bring, I think there
Mm-hmm.
was an intimidation factor. I really don't know because I pulled off so many really crazy moves on this. I mean, the fact that we got her to be the administrator of the estate is
Mm-hmm.
just totally mind-boggling. She has no interest. She's actually sort of an adverse party in ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just totally move mountain. So the fact that never got called after like good job, thank you. It did hurt. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say it didn't hurt, but just reinforce that people with the first name Scott have good hearts and and some sage wisdom.
That's
So
exactly what I was thinking.
I tried to take it with a grain of salt, and it does make for a good story
uh,
because it was really one for the books. But yeah, it does never feel good to do really great heartfelt work and squeeze out every dollar. I could have done something
mhm,
unscrupulous, like sold it for a lower amount, and, the stuff that
mhm,
other realtors do, double end it, all this. There was no
mhm,
dual representation.
mhm,
I just worked my ass off
mhm,
to get this done and squeeze out every dollar. First of all, to make sure that she could get satisfied in full, because there was
mhm.
minimal equity by the time all was said and done.
Right.
It just wasn't a lot there, so every $10,000 really counted. But yeah,
Well, I remember working with you too. It's surprising that we're still friends because, yes, you work to squeeze every dollar. I was like, my gosh, this guy's relentless.
you
And
wouldn't,
so,
you didn't want to
you were a
budge.
hard.
I was like, come on, man, come on.
Oh, right. I've never experienced it quite that much, but we were together working on it for so long.
Yeah,
But I felt like you were doing that for the best interest of the estate, so I didn't
I
take it
was.
personally.
I
Yeah,
was.
and I
I was.
was fighting hard for my
And you were.
guys, who
You were too.
some of the best
But
clients I've ever worked with.
once
Yeah.
we talked and I explained it, that's what worked really well. Is you explained it to your attorney because you did not want to move from the minimum price, the list price, because it was going to go to court. And I explained, hey
Mhm.
man, I got to get it to court. If I only have one offer, you actually didn't want to write. You said you want to wait till court. I said, man, we're not going to get to court if you don't write an offer.
Hmm.
I made you right. I
Yeah.
made you come up in price. You said, I want to be at this. I said, come on, man. And you did it. You got your clients to do it. So, yeah,
Well, I
our
think
sale
at
was
the end
one
of
of my
it,
favorites.
that you fought for your. I think it was fair because it was a complicated deal, but I think at the end of it, I think you did well for your client. I feel like that was fair to my clients, and plus, as you know, I mean, we could that right after this, my next podcast is with an appraiser, and it's the appraiser that I called and said, okay,
Who?
look, we're having to
Glenn?
remove. It,
Glenn.
yes, Glenn King.
Yes.
Yes,
Say hi to Glenn for me. I've been referring him
yeah,
business.
he's awesome. And I called
Yes.
him and I said, look, I need to make sure that we don't get into court and then we're upside down here.
Right.
I believe that we're ahead of the game at X price. I believe we're in good shape and I think we have a buffer. What do you think? Because it's a very what a weird, strange property with all that land and multiple structures, and that's a I can't wait to see how
Yeah, I'm
my clients
excited.
finish that up. But so I called him, and at the end of it, he goes, "No, you're safe." And I said, "Okay, good." And then we also that we knew our ace in the hole was that we knew it had two APNs, and we know what you can do with it. So I set them up with an expediter, and I said, okay, let's even though you don't want anyone on your property now, you should prepare the property for a split. So when the time comes, you can split it and have an ADU, have another structure. I said, why don't you get yourself set up for that? You'll have a view property on top. You can have one over here. And so by the time we finished, they said, okay, if we put that money into it, the upside to this property is going to be significant. So I felt
Yeah.
we were good as is, but the upside was going to be that's where we were banking on. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out.
Love it. I can't wait. We're gonna go to the housewarming party in maybe
Oh
2025.
my gosh, I
I'm
can't wait.
excited. All
Yeah,
right.
they threw a party. Oh my gosh, the party they threw was so much fun. I had a blast. I wish you could have been there because
I
I
know it's
tell you
supposed to.
it was
Next
colorful
year.
and fun. Yeah,
Next
next
year.
time.
All right.
Yeah.
You want to do another
All
one?
right. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, let's do it. All right. So this one I call the case of the sister who stole mom's house. This is a good one for a couple reasons. I mean, look, it was a long litigated case which I didn't have much to do with. Evil sister forged a deed, gave the house to
Mm-hmm.
herself, created a bogus trust, blah 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 blah. Once all the dust settled, we basically got the listing. So Andrew Brody, my
Mm-hmm.
partner, he took the listing. So usually we either do different listings. We're always working on the same stuff together in some
Uh-huh.
capacity, but rarely do either of us represent. So in this particular situation, the thing that was interesting with this is he recommended listing this at, we'll call it 499, right? To be
Mm-hmm.
competitive, attractive, whatever. Seller, as you know, and the client's always right, wanted to list it at 620. So we were hoping the attorney would have our back, which he did not, and listed it at 620. Property
Mm-hmm.
just sat on the market for months. Zero phone calls, like months and months, it just going nowhere. So, and I don't think we ever officially did a price reduction, which just was going nowhere. We're like, what do we do with this? So finally, we started pushing the property after 2 months of nothing. Started pushing the property some buyers. So
Mm-hmm.
one of them was a buyer that we worked with regularly who wanted to
Mm-hmm.
come in at 420, 425, something like that. So really like 200 grand less. Then I got these other buyers that basically I had a hard money lender that cold called me and just whatever. But he said, oh, I have buyers that are looking. I said, all right, well, I got a property at blah, 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah. So they took a look at it and never met these guys. So didn't know them. So we had trusted group versus random people that seemed very
Mm-hmm.
interested, but they wanted to be at like, we'll call it 470. The seller was so fatigued. So she said, so
Mm-hmm.
this was Andrew's client. So at that time we kind of split ways. I actually was writing for both. I wrote offers for both parties, the one at 420 and then the one at
Mm-hmm.
470. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
know the people from four. I still barely know their name. The other ones, great buyers, can totally have their back. She was ready. Seller was so tired. She was ready to go with the offer at 420.
Mm-hmm.
This is where things start to get tricky. I know that I have this other offer at 470, but I can't
Mm-hmm.
vouch for these people. So even though I have the clients, I'm representing two buyers, I
Got
still
it.
like have the sellers, back, we'll say, even though I don't have direct access to them. So in ways to the seller, because we totally split, Andrew's dealing, negotiating with the seller. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, all right, I start thinking, well, I really don't want to leave 50 grand on the table. I get that she's defeated and tired, but we're leaving $50,000. This is like
Right.
10%. I get it, but I don't want to take advantage of a situation, and let's give these people a shot. So we
Mhm.
basically came up with a plan. She was ready to sign at 420. I said, just don't. I know that she's defeated. I wish you would have listened to us and listed at 499, because at 499 we probably could have got over 500 for it. I mean, it wasn't a bad
Right.
deal, but it just at 620 it didn't make any sense. No phone calls. So basically we came up with a plan to put these people to the test. Say, okay, you release people we don't know, but you seem nice and hungry. Open escrow, non-contingent, or release $50,000. Show them that you're serious, because we don't even know you and we know these other people, and
Oh,
she's
I
ready
like
to go
that.
with these
That's a
other
good
people.
strategy.
So we came up with this strategy, and it worked, and they did it, and we closed at like 470. So we got an extra $50,000
Nice.
for the seller, even though I didn't technically represent the seller. That's why I do believe it's impossible virtually to do dual representation, but this is about the closest version of it that I'm comfortable with, which is
Right.
like understanding your role, which is negotiating for a buyer, but still saying, hey, I got brought into this. I have a fiduciary responsibility to a seller, and
Mhm.
I have all this knowledge, and I know how this stuff works. So let's give it a shot. So we gave it a shot. These guys closed. Really never heard from them again. But
Mhm.
we still
This
do
is
deals with the
the
people
story
that
of
are
your life.
yeah, that are 420. They're still great buyers, but that was their number, and they didn't want to go a nickel over 425 maybe. You
What
know,
was the title you had for this one?
this was called "The Case of the Sister Who Stole Mom's House."
I'm going to put Evil Sister Stole the House.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so I had something recently happen with a deal where it was basically a wholesaler that submitted a full price offer, and then someone else came in and offered just a little bit under. So I'm
Uh-huh.
talking to the estate, and I'm going, here's the thing: the wholesaler, they're basically going to come in, they're going to try to shop it, and if they
Mm.
can't sell it, then they're going to have all these reports, and then they're just going to hand it back, and then we're going to be stuck with the reports. Do we really want
Mm.
to do that? So we had to talk through it and figure out, because the a full price offer always sounds great
Right.
until really,
Right.
and the first page of their document was basically saying we can get out for any reason,
Right.
and they're bringing their buyers through, and I'm
Right.
going. So I said, really think that if you do this, what it's basically saying is this guy, this wholesaler, is a better agent than me, so
Right.
he's going to bring in buyers. I said, well, because if it was really worth this amount, then they should, then they think they can get more, then they should buy it and do
More.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was yeah, that was a mess. You got another one for us?
Oh, of course. I got several. I could do this for days, but we'll just try to
No, we're
keep
only
it
going to do
like
one more.
that.
Sorry,
I
pal.
know. We'll
Or
do. All right.
maybe
So the
two if you
last
want.
one. It's all
Yeah.
right. So I have. We'll just list the case names, and you. Well, we already talked about the one we worked on, the case of the Countess. That's the one we did.
I
So
do like that.
we have two left, which are either the case of the surviving spouse and his new family, or the case of the trap house.
Trap house? Okay. I say trap house.
Trap house. Trap house
Yeah.
is like I just came up with this
Unless you want
one.
to do the countess because you think that might be more interesting.
Well, we sort of did. I mean, we talked about our deal. Do you want to talk in more detail about it? That's
It's whatever you want, my friend.
yeah.
Whatever you want. If the trap house,
The trap house is kind of a fun one.
you're not
This
selling very well.
yeah, this one was. I mean, this one was good because it's just okay. So this one, I cold called an agent who had a listing. A property hit the market, and I cold called her and
Mhm.
said, "Hey, I have a buyer for this. I'm interested." I could tell she was a rookie, had no idea what she was doing. Basically, seized seized control of the listing. So did the listing for her with her as the agent, ended up
Mhm.
let her represent the buyer, which I brought, ran the whole show. So came in and the reason I call it the trap house is because it was right next to a trap house is like a drug den, like a drug
Mhm.
dealing house. So the house next
Mhm.
door was a trap house, which had all kinds of shady characters just going back and forth. The cops knew about it. I mean, it
Uh,
was really, really just a suspicious thing. So the property kept getting broken into. I mean, the druggies would kind of break into the house, would seize possession of this. Every time we, left, they would just regain control of this house. They
Mm-hmm.
would just break in and whatever. So we worked sort of behind the scenes, to just navigate the probate complexities. So reached out. The good thing
Mm-hmm.
about this, so Andrew was college friends with one of the attorneys that randomly was on the other side. So we kind of came in and took control of the situation very much behind the scenes. So
Mm-hmm.
names not on anything. We weren't parties to it at all. I actually let the agent double end it. I got paid a fee from the buyer directly as like an acquisition fee. Still
Mm-hmm.
squeezed out every dollar. So
Mm-hmm.
although clearly there was a little bit more on top because there was some money I got paid on the relist, but
Mm-hmm.
from the marketing standpoint, really ran it as a fair, held the open house. The agent didn't even live here. I think it was her first and only deal that she did. Had no idea. She was a family member. That's how she got it. So
She's an out-of-area agent doing a probate.
her grandmother was the administrator.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
how she got the deal. So she did not know
Mm-hmm.
anything about probate, didn't know anything about real estate. I just cold called her and was like, hey, I have a buyer interested, but I pivoted that. The buyer that I had interested in it was much lower. So really the buyer that I ended up closing with was actually the one that lost the sister who stole mom's house. It was that same buyer that I knew they liked this product. So I said, hey, as I do, squeeze them up as high as I could. I got
Mm-hmm.
every last dollar out of them. But really, it was a good example of Andrew and I working behind the scenes. So, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, we weren't parties to it, but really managed all the components from the real estate side of it, really worked with the lawyers because
Mm-hmm.
there were two different groups of lawyers. Neither the one that was on our side definitely didn't know what he was doing. The one on the other side, that was Andrew's friend, she knew ish what she was doing, but not really. Not
Mm-hmm.
for sales. I mean, they were so cautious. So we just kind of came in, and I think that's what makes us such a good team is that,
Mm-hmm.
we're ethical and above board, but we're just good at what we do. So we know how to work with
Mm-hmm.
all the various parties and
Yeah.
aren't just greedy and trying to like take it all and, this and that. Just really believe in abundance, that there's more than enough to go around. Just do the right
Absolutely.
thing. The hardest part of the transaction was the trap house, was keeping these druggies who kept breaking into the house. That was the hardest part of it. It wasn't getting it sold or the escrow. It was keeping them
That
out and
tends to get in the way.
yeah, no, it was so hard because I ended up having to put security in there. Like put a
Mm-hmm.
person sleeping in there because these guys just kept breaking in. I get calls from the neighbors out
Gosh,
the
I wouldn't have
back.
wanted that job.
I wouldn't either, but hey, if you ever
Hey,
need
so do
somebody.
this because we're running just over a half hour. Tell me about, I want to hear something about some charity or cause or something that's close to your heart. That way we can shine a light on it and have
Yeah.
something for you to post to.
So, and I did collaborate with Andrew on this because there's one
Mm-hmm.
that it means a lot to me, but really means a lot to them. Every time he and his wife have birthday parties for their children, they always say, no gifts, please, no gifts. They don't like people buying just random tchotchkes, but they say, please make a donation to Everytown for gun safety. So
Mm-hmm.
it's about the kids, it's about gun control, it's about protection and just protecting the youth and responsible gun ownership and usage and just gun safety and ending gun violence.
And it's
So
called Everytown.
Everytown, yeah, so it's
Oh, great.
everytown.org. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Love to hear that.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And yeah, would definitely, like I said, unfortunately he's sick with COVID. What just happened?
No, you know what we'll do?
Oh,
Wait, hold on.
oh,
That's me. That's just me.
all right.
There you
But
go.
yeah, would
That's
love
for
to do
myself.
one. I took one because I definitely didn't want to lose this slot, but would definitely love to do one with he and I. If you think I'm
Oh,
good
of course.
looking, he's even better looking. So you'll be like,
It's
maybe that's why
close.
you don't want him on the show. So,
It's close.
he'll show you
I don't
up,
need the
but,
competition. You're you're
but,
you're
yeah, I
challenging
think,
enough for me.
I know, right? But I think we make a really good team and kind of a dynamic duo. So, yeah, just very excited to be here. Very appreciative
Yeah.
of your time and your friendship, Scott. You
Yeah.
are one of the agents that truly are one of my favorites, and looking forward to
Thanks, man.
many, many more deals and years of just friendship. So I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Good sir.
We'll definitely do that for sure, and I'll definitely have both of you on. We'll do that just down the road a little bit, and we'll have some
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And so,
Awesome.
yeah.